Sam Bankman-Fried, the poster boy for effective altruism, been convicted of multi-billion-dollar fraud. He's also the subject of a book that came out earlier this year from Michael Lewis called Going Infinite. You know Michael Lewis, Blindside,
Right.
Liar's Poker, Moneyball, that Michael Lewis. And this, of course, comes on the heels a few years earlier of another multi-billion-dollar fraud. That would be Bernie Madoff and family. And in part, not completely, but in significant part, especially in Madoff's case, the victims were also the greatest cheerleaders, the elites. That's the subject of a piece by Stan Veuger, who's a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute over at Foreign Policy, foreignpolicy.com. Why did America's elite keep falling for crypto frauds? Even experienced journalists got suckered by Sam Bankman-Fried. Well, is that a Fox Butterfield moment? Even experienced journalists got suckered?
Well,
How about, of course, experienced journalists got suckered? Why did America's elite keep falling for crypto frauds? Let me hazard a guess. Because they're overeducated, trend-sucking dilettantes who spend all their times navel-gazing over their own moral superiority?
Yeah, or that, yeah.
Could that be why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see if I'm close. Stan Veuger from American Enterprise Institute joins us now. Stan, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. So you can probably pick up on how much empathy I have for experienced journalists and other so-called elites as it pertains to Sam Bankman-Fried. About as much empathy as he has for people that he defrauded, apparently. So what's your vision or view in terms of why so many bought this latest scam hook, line, and sinker?
Well, I think there are two groups we should really distinguish. So one, right, there's people who put money into his crypto exchange, which in many cases are relatively small retail investors.
Yes.
That's not really the group of people that I wrote about, right? That's just the people, they see a bubble, they try to ride it, they lose some money, whatever.
Right.
It's unfortunate, but that happens. I think the Bankman-Fried case stands apart because he got very good press, tons of attention from politicians, and now, as you mentioned, there's a Michael Lewis book that's basically a geography. It's super positive. It starts out with a chapter where he writes about Bankman-Fried, and throughout the entire chapter, Bankman-Fried is just behaving like a jackass. He doesn't show up to anything. When he's on calls, he's playing video games. And this is all framed as, oh, well, look at how special he is. And so, the book kind of goes on like that. And then at the end of the book, the real villain is revealed, which is, how they put that guy who managed Enron after bankruptcy in charge of FTX to try to get some of the money back. Well, that guy is portrayed as the real villain because he's not listening to Bankman-Fried enough about where the money is. Anyway, the book is incredible. And so, I try to explain a little bit why, people like Michael Lewis or other commentators, thinkers were so attracted to Bankman-Fried and his whole operation.
Well, right, because he had Tom Brady and Giselle on board. I mean, what's cooler than that?
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, well, that one is easy to explain. That's just writing him large checks. I don't think that one requires much more than that.
But didn't a lot of Hollywood stars invest with him in cryptocurrency?
Well, it's a mix of investing with him and just taking his money to do ads, right? I don't know that the fact that you're doing an ad means investing. I'm thinking more about exactly people like Michael Lewis or, the politicians who hung out with him who are really attracted to something else you guys mentioned, which is effective altruism.
Well, yeah. the politicians, they were getting checks too, a lot of them on the Democrat side.
That's right. I was thinking more like, like Tony Blair or Bill Clinton, right? They weren't getting campaign donations anymore, the older statesmen.
Pillage. So that's why, because they effective altruism. Oh, finally, somebody who's so selfless that he's giving up meat because he doesn't want to contribute to animal suffering and so on and so forth. There's all this sentimentality that ushers in the barbarism, and they're on board for that.
That's right, and it has a thin veneer of moral philosophy, right? It's not just saying I'm vegan. It's no. I'm coming up with a complicated scheme. I'm going to make a lot of money, and then I'm going to use that money not for my own purposes, but to address the long-term existential risks caused by artificial intelligence, right? That kind of scheme, and I think that was attractive to people. Then Beckman-Fried comes from this, sort of elite academic family, and a lot of the number of folks at FTX did as well, and so I think that also gave him sort of a layer of credibility that he wouldn't have had otherwise, and I think that explains some of the coverage, which to this day remains surprisingly positive for really one of the great fraudsters in history.
Well, how did he get away with this for so long? Was it because he was contributing to Democratic candidates?
No, he didn't. To be clear, he didn't get away with it for that long, right? The big run-up is in 21, and then he's already been sentenced. That's not normally how the justice system operates. So, in fairness, he didn't get away with it for that long. He got away with it on a massive scale, and to this day, I think the press coverage is reasonably positive. The way he got away with it while the scheme was running was the way people get away with Ponzi schemes, right? As long as there's enough money coming in, new money coming in, and as long as people don't realize that your accounting is all fake, you can just keep running the scheme. But Madoff got away with it for much longer.
Oh, yeah. Well, because it was a much more sort of stable environment in which he was operating, and people not pulling their money because of the stable 12, 15% returns, over time. I mean, it's just a completely different dynamic as opposed to sort of the Wild West with crypto. But I love some of the comments, too, just this idea like he's one of us, which you were getting to. You mentioned Matt Iglesias, who's sort of a celebrated intellect of sorts on the left. Center left, but I would say left. He basically, his mom is one of these. His mom and dad at Stanford, and they're one of us. They're in this effective altruism. With they're simpatico with effective altruism, and these are our people kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. And so I do think that explains a good chunk of the coverage, because that movement has really become what I don't think you're being unfair about the sort of excessive parts of that movement, right? Which it started out on some level as kind of cost-benefit analysis, like, is it better to build a sewage system or to give people malaria nets? Which, that seems like a reasonable thing to think about. But now it's become all this fantasizing about existential risks in the long-term future, and of course, there, you get to write your hobby force, and it doesn't really matter, and it's become fairly detached from reality, I think, but still dressed up in these clothes of look at us deep thinkers of moral philosophy, which is and I think turned out here was not very productive. And of course, just last week we saw another example of the effective altruists, trying to get involved in some action when the CEO of OpenAI was, I don't know if you saw this, was
Sam Altman. Yeah.
By Sam Altman, exactly, by his board, dominated by effective altruists, because they had figured out, okay, we need to stop this because artificial intelligence is so good now it's going to destroy the world. Which really, to think that to think you're able to make those kinds of forecasts with any kind of certainty requires a certain level of self-confidence.
Self-confidence is a generous way to describe it. And they didn't really contemplate that the basically 90% of the employees would threaten to quit if they didn't reinstate Altman. So now the board's gone and the employees and Altman are back, which is a very interesting development, too. At some point, hard-headedness has to kick in. But usually there's some casualties when you're talking about these elites. Part of it also seems to me is, just speaking of the hubris, which is just unmeasurable, we're smart people. I'm an actor. I'm an academic. I've made a bunch of money in one sector or another, so I know everything about everything. And this is the new cool thing. And these are our people, and so I'm in. That's the level of analysis.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I don't know, I'm a big Tom Brady fan, but I gotta understand if he's gonna show up in an ad if someone gives him enough money. That's fine. Whatever, he's a football player. I agree with you that when you're portraying yourself as really a true expert and deep thinker, that's where the standard should really be quite different. And I agree with you that behavior has been pretty bad. I don't know what to do about it. I mean, one good thing about the Bankman-Fried case is there have been consequences for people, which of course is not always the case, right? Bankman-Fried is presumably going to federal prison for a long time. His parents, who allegedly benefited financially from FTX quite substantially, despite their background in moral philosophy, I believe they are approaching financial dire straits. And so, at least in this case, hopefully it creates incentives that let people reconsider their behavior and their self-image in the future. Yeah.
But these same people, I will
One
bet
can
you
always
dollars.
hope. One can always hope.
I'll bet you dollars to donuts, though, these same people will be unchastened and fully on board for the next iteration of Tulip Mania. I mean, I would bet you dollars to donuts on that. But anyway, Stan Veuger, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, his piece, Why Did America's Elite Keep Falling for Crypto Frauds, over at foreignpolicy.com. Stan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
All right. Are you doing it? Are you doing something good? Are you being proactive with your own health? Because that's pretty much what we can control, is what we put in our bodies. And did you have enough fruits and vegetables last night? Well, if not,